How much cash flow is required for your HELOC strategy? Me and my wife are trying to overcome $20,000 in credit card debt. Hey, the less cash flow you have, the slower the debt elimination is going to be. I don't have a cash flow requirement. It's all based upon your debt and what you're trying to do, okay? Is MoneyMax a spreadsheet? Would I need Excel to use it? No, Laura, no. It is a software that they coach and train you. It's a one-time buy-in. Once you're in it, you can use it for life. I bought into it just because when I do have an additional property, guess what? I'm going to use MoneyMax. I know how to use lines of credit, and I absolutely will do that as well. But MoneyMax, it is an interest eliminator. So the guy I just worked with, he had an interest of like 4.5% on his mortgage. He's only 2 years into the mortgage, so he's paying what? Is he really paying 4% interest? No, he's paying about 80%, right? He went and looked at his paperwork, the contract that he signed for that mortgage, and he said, I am paying close to 90% interest. And I said, yes, you are. Yes, you are. So he's now paying less than that because he's into the MoneyMax, and it brings all of that interest down to about a 2% overall interest. So he will be working off his debt pretty quickly because he is doing the interest eliminator along with using a line of credit that is freeing up cash flow. So he's going to win. If I have two PLOCs, credit card debts and car loans, should I choose one of the PLOCs to be my operating account and treat the other as a bill to pay the same as the credit cards and loans? I worked out of one at a time. It was just easier for me. I was eliminating one quickly so I could move on over to the next. So I hope that answered your question. Can you help us or guide us in lowering taxes? If I could help you with lowering taxes, I would be helping myself. Oh my gosh. But no, oh my gosh. Can I say it loud and clear that the IRS is the most stressful thing in my life? Gosh, wow. No. That's why I work with JJ the CPA, is because I'm just knowing that he knows the best I can do with what they give us. Gosh. I'm not going to talk about that or I'm going to get red-faced and angry. I used a 0% credit card for a $20,000 purchase. Would you recommend paying it off using a HELOC? I can pay off the debt faster with Velocity, but end up paying a small amount of interest, or should I cash flow it? That is a great question. I always use my 0% credit cards like this. I make minimum payments that they make me pay, and I let it sit there until that promotion ends. And if I still have a balance on it, of course you will, I will then either put it on another 0% credit card or move it into the line of credit and start paying it off quickly. So I hope that helps answer your question. Using Velocity Banking with my HELOC, $120,000 and have $1,200 cash flow. Wanted to start IBC, but not sure if I should. Available balance on the HELOC is $75,000. So $75,000, you didn't say the interest rate on that HELOC, but with a $1,200 cash flow, I'm not sure that you are working it down quickly. As far as the IBC, I do use my HELOC to fund my IBC, so I would assume that would be good for you as well, but not sure based on the cash flow. Of course, the IBC can help you to turn around and pay off debt as well using your own bank. So that's a loaded question too. I would have to have more information to know. With the credit card payment, is that still before the due date? Thanks. Yes, it's very, very important that you meet their minimum amount due on the due date, okay, or by the due date. So always make sure if you're breaking down those payments, and I'm going to stop right there to say that if you have a payment due on September the 25th and their statement date is, say, September the 30th, you will need to make sure that you're making your multiple payments within that 25-day period, meaning that don't make a payment on September the 26th and think that it's going to go towards your October payment. You have to wait till that statement date where they're like reissuing the new statement. Then you start making your multiple payments after that up into the due date, because I didn't learn that beforehand and I thought that I had met my minimum payment, but because I had made a payment or two before the statement was actually printed or whatever they do, I had not. So just make sure that your multiple payments payments are within the same month of that due date. I hope that makes sense. Wouldn't chunking be better to pay off a mortgage using a PLOC, for instance, versus a first lien HELOC? Isn't there a bit more risk with the first lien? Good question. The first lien lenders that I work with have not ever, not through 2008 even, when that was our roughest time for the markets, they didn't have anything change. There was no limit cuts, there was no freezes, no calls. So I think they're pretty safe, but that's just my opinion. It's a good question though. Second positions, they absolutely were cut. They were absolutely frozen. They were absolutely called. But the first position, it's in the first position. Remember, just like the mortgage, it's in the first position. So if you default for any reason on your payments, they're going to sell your property and pay their loan off first. Okay, so wouldn't say that it's not safe. And it's definitely going to save you half the time that the mortgage would usually. So if you transfer a mortgage into a first lien HELOC, at least the numbers I run a lot, we're almost always out of that mortgage in 15 years or that home loan 15 years rather than the mortgage is 30 years. I did have a question. I think you did answer, but I have a Discover card I use a lot and don't want to go up more than 2,000. This is a 0%, but my PLOC is at 4,800. Should I pay the PLOC? If you're talking about moving a $4,800 PLOC balance into a 0% credit card, I would, because I love not having interest. So yeah, even though they're going to charge you like 3 to 5% to do the transfer, you may still, especially if that PLOC, those PLOCs can be pretty pricey. So maybe 12 to 16% on a PLOC. So kind of have to run the numbers on that interest and see what that looks like on the PLOC to know if transferring it at the transfer fee 3 to 5%, see if it offsets or how that looks, because I wouldn't know unless I had exact numbers. I have 3.6 rate on my mortgage, so you're paying what, almost 70% interest. I would like to save on interest. Can I use a first lien HELOC to pay it off so that I can pay less and to have some credit available for other things? Yes, you can. You do have to have a 700 credit score, okay? So don't even go to them if you don't have close to or right at 700, because they are really serious about that. I thought I heard you mention that there are now sources for first position HELOC in Texas. Is that true? Yes, there is. You'll have to email me for that information. I don't have a link for that bank. I have both PLOC and HELOC maxed out each and credit card maxed out. How can I make it work? You need to start using that HELOC aggressively. You need to find out if you're still in the draw period. If you are in the draw period, how long do you have left? Usually it's a 10-year draw. So another thing is, what's your cash flow? So if you're using the HELOC correctly, that's all income going into that HELOC, which is reducing that balance. Then your expenses are coming back out throughout the month. So if you have $2,000 in cash flow, that cash flow will sit in there working that HELOC down. Keep watching videos. I have a lot of videos, and some of them are about the maxed out situations like that. So keep watching videos and see if you can't find one that comes close to your situation.